Let's talk about how to teach grammar. So on a CELTA course, there are a few different ways of teaching grammar. There's test, teach, test. There are situational presentations of language. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about a text-based presentation of language and what that entails. So hang around. I'm going to condense this one into a real short video, give you everything that you need to know to teach a grammar lesson using the text-based presentation of language. What is the text-based presentation of language? Well, basically, it's exactly what it says. There is a text, usually a reading, but it could be a listening text as well, which includes the grammar point that you're going to teach in that lesson. So let's say it's a text about experiences, places that the writer has visited, and they're going to say things like, I've been to Europe and I've been to South America, etc., etc. So they want to teach I have been, that grammar called the present perfect. For example, so there's going to be lots of examples in the text of this grammar point. So here's how the lesson's going to go. You're going to do a lead-in to establish the context and engage your students. Then you're going to present the text to them with usually a gist question. It could be a reading for detailed question, but it's usually a gist question. What kinds of things does the writer experience in their life? This is to get the learners to engage with the context and not exactly to have that explicit focus on language just yet, but just to expose them to the language being used in context. So once that gist section is done, then you're going to move on to the language clarification stage of your lesson. Here's where you're going to get into the meaning, form, pronunciation of your target language. Now, the way that you're going to do that first is you're going to give the students a task to help them to notice or zero in on the target language. So it might be something as simple as underline all of the examples of have plus verb, for example. And then you might follow that up with a guided discovery task where it asks the learners, we use this grammar, have plus past participle, really in this case of the present perfect. We use this grammar to talk about things that are finished in the past or to talk about experiences. You know, the learner chooses the correct meaning. Then you can move on to form in the same guided discovery task where you ask the learners to identify the parts of speech, maybe contractions, etc. And then the pronunciation section in a book, it'll usually be done by means of a recording, but I would always encourage you are the teacher in the classroom, go ahead and drill that pronunciation. Again, with the present perfect or anything with contractions, you're usually just going to focus in on the contraction part for a grammar like that. After you've done your language clarification section, then you're going to get into the lion's share of the lesson, which is first of all, the control practice. This is to focus on accuracy. So while the students are working on that individually, you should move around and do on-the-spot correction because it's an accuracy-focused task and you don't want them really getting anything wrong. Try to encourage them to self-correct. Once they've finished that task, compare it in pairs, and then you've done feedback with the whole class, then it's time to move on to the final stage of the lesson, which is a freer practice activity. And this is usually going to be a conversation in pairs, or more, probably better, do it in small groups. And you as a teacher, again, you're going to be monitoring and listening to these conversations, maybe taking down some notes to do not on-the-spot correction, but delayed correction. Throughout all of this lesson, so that's all of the stages, lead-in, presentation of language through a text, just question, language clarification of meaning, form, pronunciation, control practice, and free practice. That's your lesson. That's how to do it. Throughout all of this, make sure to keep your context strong and present for the learners so that they can relate the language to a real-world example and so that the lesson stays communicative. Okay, that's it for this short video on how to do this type of text-based presentation of language. Let me know in the comments, have you used this in your CELTA? Are you about to teach a grammar lesson? Have you taught a grammar lesson? How would you go about this kind of lesson? That's it for me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.